Spokesperson for Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Olmert has said $100 million in tax revenues being held by the Israelis will be sent to the office of the Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas in the next few hours. More on that a little bit later in the programme.
The Israelis have been holding that money for several years. As we said, we'll get back to that story. Now, for more on this, we're joined by the acting Palestinian... So, no, we're not. We've lost that story. A senior Palestinian official has confirmed that Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas is to meet the Hamas leader Khaled Meshal in Damascus.
It's expected to take place this coming Saturday, and it could be a key turning point in restarting the stalled talks on forming a unity government.
Meanwhile, in the West Bank town of Nablus, a Palestinian gunman has been killed during a pre-dawn raid by Israeli troops. The gunman is believed to be a member of the Al-Aqsa Martyrs Brigade. Israeli security sources say troops entered Nablus looking for Palestinian fighters. 4 people were also arrested.
Well, in Israel, there's pressure mounting on the Prime Minister Ehud Olmert after a poll found that 69% of Israelis want him to resign. It comes weeks before the release of a report on the war against Hezbollah. The head of Israel's army, Dan Halutz, stepped down on Wednesday, just hours before his resignation, a criminal probe on a separate matter.
The European Union's foreign policy chief, Javier Solana, is in Egypt to push for progress in the stalled Middle East peace process. Solana is meeting President Hosni Mubarak and will also meet the Arab League Secretary General Amir Moussa. His visit comes just days after U.S. Secretary of State Condoleezza Rice pledged a 3-way summit with Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas and Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Olmert. And Rice has arrived in London for talks with British Prime Minister Tony Blair. She's expected to brief Blair on her tour of the region and her efforts to bolster support for Bush's new Iraq strategy.
And a series of bomb explosions across Baghdad has left at least 19 people dead and dozens more wounded. In the worst incident, a triple blast near a vegetable market in the southern Dora district claimed 10 lives. Elsewhere, a car bomb targeting a police patrol killed 4 when it went off during the rush hour. And 3 people were killed and 7 others injured after a car bomb exploded in eastern Baghdad.
Staying in Iraq, he has a $10 million bounty on his head, but Izzat Ibrahim al-Duri has been named as the new symbolic head of the resistance to U.S. forces in Iraq.
In a moment, we'll be live to Baghdad for the latest. First, here's what was announced a short time ago.
The
comrade Mujahid Izzat al-Duri is a nationalistic brave man. It is sure, following the martyrdom of the symbolic leader, that the Mujahid Izzat al-Duri will have a big role, as he always did, in increasing the resistance. Of course, with his brothers, the resistors from other fronts.
Well, we're joined live now from Baghdad by our correspondent Hoda Abdel Hamid. Hoda, how surprising is this announcement, and what more do we know about this man, Izzat Ibrahim al-Duri?
Well, the announcement actually came a few hours after the execution of Saddam Hussein. The Ba'ath Party at the time had posted on their website that Izzat Ibrahim al-Duri had become the new president of Iraq and the new leader of what they call the Sunni resistance to the American occupation and the Shiite government of Prime Minister al-Maliki. Now, Izzat Ibrahim al-Duri used to be the vice president of Iraq under Saddam Hussein. He was number 6 on the list of most wanted issued by the Americans just following the fall of the regime, and he's now number 1 on the list of most wanted by the Iraqi government. They actually issued an arrest warrant against him in January 2005, stating that he was an operational leader with close ties to many of the Sunni armed groups in the country, and they had actually put a $10 million reward for anyone who would give tips that would lead to his arrest.
Hoda, he's been named as the symbolic head of the resistance. What's likely now to happen to the insurgency and the violence?
Well, the Sunni armed groups have always vowed that if Saddam Hussein would be executed, they warned before his execution that they would increase their attacks and they would increase the level of attacks. After his execution, we saw Sunni anger all over Iraq and mainly the Sunni towns of Iraq, and they were vowing to continue to support the Ba'ath Party and to continue to support the struggle. However, in this statement also, the Sunnis are saying right now, they're saying, well, we can stop they're offering a truce to the Americans. They're saying we can stop the attacks on American soldiers if you crack down on Shia militias. That might not be a bad idea from the American point of view. One of the main problems of the Americans here is Al-Anbar province. This is a Sunni province in Iraq, and it's the one province they have never been able to control. This is where Fallujah is, this is where Ramadi is, and Ramadi is one of these cities. It's a Sunni city. It's really the capital of the Sunni resistance here in Iraq, and it's the one area Americans have had several massive military operations and have never been able to control, Darren.
Hold on, just briefly, what are ordinary Iraqis making of statements by Jalal Talabani that he didn't ask for more troops to be sent to Iraq?
Well, the Iraqi government has never asked for more U.S. troops. Their idea all along was that we need to equip our own security forces. We need to get the right equipment for intelligence, for air support. We need to get the right weaponry. And all along, they wanted to have their armed forces beefed up rather than see more American troops on the street. They know that American troops are not popular on the streets of Baghdad, certainly, and in most of the embattled areas of Iraq.
Hoda, thank you very much indeed.
We're going to be going back to our top story, the news that the Israeli Prime Minister Ehud Olmert will release $100 million of the tax revenues being held by them into the hands of President Mahmoud Abbas. For more on this, we're joined by the acting Palestinian Finance Minister, Dr. Samir Abu Aisha. Good news for Mahmoud Abbas, but who will benefit from this initially?
Well, the first and the most important thing, that we need our monies as Palestinians, as taxes withheld by the Israelis for more than 10 months to be transferred to us. We need all our monies to be transferred, but at least the first bunch of $100 million, we hope really to be transferred very soon. Now, being transferred through the President's office, we as a government do not protest to that. We don't have any problem to be transferred to the President's office and through the President's office. And we as Palestinians, we decide what priorities do we have to spend our monies through.
As you said, the Palestinians have been under an economic siege for years, which increased after Hamas came into power. Will this money make any impact whatsoever?
Of course, this is part of about $600 million withheld by the Israelis illegally and against all the agreements signed by the Palestinians and the Israelis. And hopefully to get these monies will be only just the first bunch of getting the rest of our monies to be spent, for the benefits and for the sake of our people as well.
Are you likely to see any more concessions in the run-up to the three-way meeting with the U.S.?
I didn't get your question, please. Can you repeat it again?
Are you likely to see any more concessions in the run-up to the three-way meeting planned with the United States?
Well, we hope that, again, the general atmosphere is going to be eased more and more in the coming few days and few weeks. We hope that this is only one step towards really getting our rights, towards getting the political aspects mobilized forward, and towards seeing an extension to the ceasefire from the Gaza Strip towards the West Bank. We as Palestinians need to see real actions on the ground and not just to see little things, here and there. We welcome real steps, and we need to see things on the ground. I have to say back to our monies, this is not donations by the Israelis. This is not assistance by the Israelis. They don't have any right, to put any restrictions on the use of these monies. So we hope that we can and we need to be able to utilize it the best way we'd like to, and we hope that this will be only the first step towards more and more.
Okay, Dr. Samir Abu Aisha, Palestinian Acting Finance Minister, thank you very much for your time.